How you doing? Peter Eddie here. Today I want to say that the Beatles, they had a 10-year run, and McCartney said, the reason they broke up basically was they came full circle. They did whatever they had to do, and then it was time to leave. There's nothing like kids said Yoko broke them up. John Lennon said that he's quitting. Paul McCartney said he's quitting. It wasn't all of that. According to McCartney especially, this is the Beatles did what they had to do. They came full circle. It's time. It was time for them to leave. Of course, McCartney became very depressed when that happened and all that. And Linda helped him. The whole story about that. Linda said, get back to work. He was depressed, drinking, staying in bed, not shaving, not doing anything that he should have been. Wasn't in the studio, wasn't doing things. And Linda got him out of it. But he still, to this day, he says because they came full circle. But a lot of people say, they say that, something that they had basically, they could have did maybe 2 more albums of their material from 1970 and 71. And after that, maybe quit. In 1970, John Lennon came out with Plastic Ono Band, which was a fantastic album. McCartney had McCartney, which is only him, all his instruments and all that. George Harrison had All Things Must Pass, double, triple album. One album was a jam, but for sure a double album of all new material. Ringo, he didn't really have new material. He had an album called Sentimental Journey, which was like old songs from the 40s, and then he had a country album called Bouquet of Blues. So that's what Ringo had. All 4 of them had an album in 1970. In 1971, only Lennon and McCartney had an album out. George Harrison did not have an album out, and neither did Ringo. So in 71, Lennon had the Imagine album, and McCartney had Ram. It's 2 great albums. So I was thinking, let's say the Beatles had 2 albums left in them. And what would, let's make like a made-up album, or 2 made-up albums together, 2 more albums after Abbey Road. Because Abbey Road, a lot of people say was their masterpiece. So let's say they had 2 more albums before they decided to break up. And incidentally, in 1972, I believe that 1972, I believe George Harrison and Ringo didn't have an album out, but Lennon had Sometime in New York City, which is considered to be like his worst of his solo albums. And McCartney had started Wings and had Wildlife, which many say is a weak album. So here you go, 1972, with only 2 albums from 4 Beatles, both of them weak. So let's say they quit in 1971. They came out with an album in 1970, after Abbey Road, and then another one in 71. So in 1970, you have Plastic Ono Band, McCartney McCartney, and All Things Must Pass. Ringo, I'm not gonna, we wouldn't put anything in an album from Ringo because it's not really originals. I'm not gonna put Night and Day for Ringo into a Beatle album. Okay, so let's call this first album Everest because Abbey Road, they were thinking of calling it Everest. They're thinking of going to Mount Everest, all the way to Mount Everest, and calling the album Everest. And then you decided, let's just go outside and make a picture outside of Abbey Road Studios and called Abbey Road. So that's what they did. But let's say the next album's called Everest. So I'm saying side one and then side two. Side one. I'm gonna start side one with Paul McCartney. Maybe I'm Amazed. Now I don't even think that song would have been written because, as I said, he was depressed after the Beatles broke up, and he didn't know what to do, and so Linda helped him out, and he wrote a song for Linda, sort of a thank you song. Maybe I'm amazed. Maybe I'm amazed the way you helped me all the time. And she got him out of his depression. I don't think he wouldn't have been depressed probably if the Beatles didn't break up yet. So he wouldn't even wrote that song. But anyway, okay. But I'm going to say, this is all fictional. So the first song on the album, Maybe I'm Amazed, which is a good song. Let's start the album with that fictional song because he probably wouldn't have wrote it if he was still with the Beatles. Okay, so next song. Let's go to John Lennon, Working Class Hero. Great song. Let's say that's the next song that's going to be there. So you started the album with Maybe I'm Amazed. Next song, Working Class Hero. With the foul language. with the F-bomb. Anyway, okay, next song. Let's go back to McCartney from the McCartney album. But of course it's going to be Everest. The next song, That Would Be Something. That would be something. Really would be something. Reaching the falling rain. Reaching the falling rain. Okay. Next song, let's go to George Harrison. He made an album too that year. My Sweet Lord. Great song. Song that he got sued. The story with My Sweet Lord, people said it sounds too much like He's So Fine, a 1960 song, and he lost that lawsuit. But anyway, it's a great song. My Sweet Lord is much heavier. It's done much heavier than He's So Fine. Okay. Still on side one. Next song, John Lennon, I Found Out, when Place to Go, No Band. Great song. All about drugs. He found out what's to do. Okay, now we got a drug song and a depressing song. Let's go to the next song. Paul song. More like uplifting. Ooh, you. More guitar. Look like a woman. I'm not gonna sing it now. Okay, next song. Let's end the side with a Paul McCartney song, and one that the Beatles have been practicing and almost released. But McCartney had to release it by himself because they never released it. Teddy Boy. But imagine a Beatles Teddy Boy, though. We have heard it, but if it wasn't perfected, but imagine having a perfected version of Teddy Boy from the Beatles. So that's the end of side one. So again, I'll do side one fast. Maybe I'm Amazed. Working Class Hero. That will be something. My Sweet Lord, I Found Out, Ooh You, and Teddy Boy. Side one. Let's go to side two. George song. Little lively. Wawa. That song he wrote after he broke up with the Beatles. He went and Let It Be, and we all remembered he walked out in the Beatles. He went home and he wrote Wawa. So, I'm going to open side two with Wawa. George Harrison song. Now, John Lennon. Second song, side two, Mother, which is the first song, classic Ono Band. Third song, Paul McCartney. Third song, Paul McCartney. A little ballad, Every Night. Acoustic version. I think it's only acoustic version. Very beautiful song. Every night I just want to go out. Get out of my head. Okay, let's do another ballad. John Lennon. Love. Love is real. Real is love. I think it's a love song to Yoko. It's a beautiful song though. So imagine that for the second song of the second side. Not the second song. It'll be the fourth song. Okay. Another song. John Lennon, Remember. And okay, let's close the album with a George Harrison song. Song they've been working on and Let It and Get Back. They never released, but of course he put it on his first solo album, All Things Must Pass, and that would be All Things Must Pass. Okay, not a bad album, right? Let's say there's a new Beatle album called Everest, and side one is I'll say it again. Just mention all the songs. Side one may be of Amazed, followed by Working Class Hero. Followed by that will be Something. Then we have My Sweet Lord, I Found Out, Ooh You, and Teddy Boy. That's side one. Side two, Wawa, Mother, Every Night, Love, Remember, and All Things Must Pass. Not a bad album, right? Okay. Could be a good Beatle album. Okay, so that happened in 1970. 1971 came, and now they want to make a new album. So what are we going to do? In 1971, I told you only Lennon and McCartney came out with an album. Lennon came out with Imagine, and McCartney came out with Ram. Two great albums. When Harrison and Starr, George and Ringo did not come out with albums that year. So we'll have to work on only Lennon and McCartney songs. So like I said, it's the Imagine album and Ram. Ram's my favorite McCartney album. Imagine, close to my favorite. I think the Plastic Ono Band is probably a better album for me. Anyway, so let's start with this album, side one. I don't know what to title it. You're gonna come up with some titles. Let me know. Okay, first song. Let's start with Paul McCartney, very Beatles. Uncle Albert. Uncle Albert and Albert Horsey. We're so sorry, Uncle Albert. Let's start with that. That's the opening song of the album. And we're going to slow it down with a George song. I mean, a John song. George didn't have an album. Jealous Guy. Very beautiful song. Next song. Another John. Crippled Inside. Next song. Go back to Paul. Too Many People. I don't even know who would write this, or at least some of the lyrics I don't know if he would write, because they would have he was having a feud with John, a little bit of a feud with it going back and forth, making fun of each other a little bit, or ranking each other out. One of the lyrics in this song, Too Many People Preaching Practices, talking about John. He admitted he was talking about John. So that's a song, Too Many People. Next song, this will be funny. Next song, John. How Do You Sleep? Ranking out Paul. Now, I don't think this will ever happen. First of all, they wouldn't be ranking each other out if they didn't break up. And now you have an album where Paul is ranking on John and Too Many People, and John coming with a big comeback on How Do You Sleep at Night? The only thing you wrote is yesterday. I don't know how you could even make that song when the Beatles didn't break up. Then never even to release it though. Not only make it, but release it and put it on the Beatles album. It's kind of funny because you got in my imaginary album, you got Too Many People, followed by How Do You Sleep, which is two ranking songs. I don't know. Are they gonna rank each other out right in front of each other? I don't know. Okay, so that's what I got. Next song, Paul's song, Dear Boy. Beautiful song, great song. Dear Boy is not about John. Dear Boy was about Linda's first husband. He's putting down Linda's first husband for leaving Linda when Linda was such a great girl, such a great woman. And he's saying that you made a mistake, but now I got her. So thank God. I got her, you don't. The next song, John Lennon, How. Not How Do You Sleep, How. Slow ballad, nice song, beautiful song to end the side. Okay, side two. Let's get to one of the best John songs ever. Side two. Started with Imagine. Great song to start it with. Okay. Next song, Heart of the Country. Next song, Big Rocker, one of my favorite songs by Paul. Mark Berry, Moon Delight. I'd love to see Paul do this in concert. He would have to really belt that out, you know. He might even hurt his throat. But I think that he does better in the rockers with his voice than he does in ballads. He sounds better in rockers for some reason in these days, in his 80s. Okay, so like I said, the next song, Mark Berry, Moon Delight, followed by another rocker by Paul, Smile Away. Followed by another song by Paul. Am I making this a Paul album? I don't know, I guess so. Eat at Home. And let's close it up with the great Backseat of My Car. I don't know, maybe I should have put more John songs in it. Well, I have a lot of Paul in it. Maybe I should close it with Oh Yoko. I don't know. Okay, so those are my two albums. One made in 1970, one made in 71. As the Beatles. Let's say 72 they broke up. Uh, so, what do you think? Think the Beatles could have been making some more albums together, or did they come full circle with Abbey Road? Okay, so that's what I gotta say today. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Good to hear from you. I want to hear you. I want to see you. I want to hear some comments. Let me know what you think of these albums. Let me know what you would put in, what you would put instead. If you would even make an album. I'm interested to know. I'm interested to know what you think would make a good album for 70 and 71. Okay. Take care. See you. Bye.